Hello, everybody. I'm Perlo Wisdom, and you're listening to Rico and Perlo's House of Exotic Picks Frolic. Kind of. Actually, this is more just Perlo's thoughts on things. We went over. I looked at the. I'm going to also talk about that Canadians Carolina series. Getting a lot of flack on that since I did the last video about the Canadians and why I have been losing money on the Montreal Canadiens this year. But I'm going to be looking at the Buffalo Sabres, who did get beat by the Montreal Canadiens, and basically what their exit strategy will be. And since I'm doing this live, I'll be also talking to people in the chat about whatever they want to talk about as well. But first, I'm going to look at the Buffalo Sabres and what went wrong, what went right, what their roster looks like are, and what their challenges may be this summer. I don't think it's going to be too much, to tell you the honest truth, but there are a few for sure. Some of them are very obvious. One of them specifically will be very obvious for sure, and that will be the contract of Alex Tuck. But we'll get into that in a second. Buffalo Sabres obviously had a year that was kind of what everybody was hoping for a long time now. Not just hoping for, kind of expecting. They've had a roster for a couple of years that has really looked like it was going to pop eventually. Many people stopped believing in it. I got to shout out JFresh. JFresh Analytics, by the way, I might be using some of his analytics today in this video or in this live, but he took the Buffalo Sabres to make the playoffs before the season started. And when I looked at it, I had a difficult time understanding. But on the same note, I had been saying for a while, watch out if this team ever embraces or manages to figure out Lindy Ruff's system, and they sure did this year, at least especially in the regular season. Lindy Ruff plays a man-on-man defensive system, short pass exits mostly, which kind of hurt them, and they had to adjust. And I think that is fluid, and Ruff will start adding different elements to that system as they grow as a team, which will have a lot to do with what I think may happen in the offseason. Zach Benson had especially in the playoffs, he showed what it looked like he was going to become before this, but he really stepped up this year, and he really moved into kind of the type of player that I was expecting him to become. His underlying analytics showed that he was heading this direction, but he really flew out of it this year. A very good three-zone defensive player. Played with a lot more confidence this year, and it just grew. And then you saw what happened in the playoffs, where he was one of the best players that they had. I love the guy. I mean, I love the guy, and I would imagine many of you love the guy for his ability. He's not a big player, but he plays really big, and his intensity and his aggressiveness and his nonstop motor kind of reminds me of Gallagher in his youth that way, but with more offense. And I love the guy. And I think he's just going to get better this year. I'm looking right now at the top line of Buffalo, and then we'll look at their cap room and all of those sort of things like that. Joshua Norris, man, if this guy can stay healthy again, very good all-around player when he's healthy. He with Norris, Benson, and who did they have on the right side with that? Was it Quinn? That line or Doan? That's what it was when they put that together. I wonder if they put that back together in the regular season. They did split it up in the last two games against Montreal. It'll be interesting to see if they jump back with that again. I hope so, because it was fun. It was a fun line to watch. I mean, all of these players are set in stone here. I think they have to sign Benson this year, which is going to lead. Just let me take a look here. If he contract wise, yeah, 2026. So he's going to need a extension this year as well as Tuck. So that's going to muddle things up a little bit. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do here. I think because he popped this season, he may be in line for kind of a bridge, but a significant bridge. Although Buffalo has been one to really give players as early as possible long contracts. And a lot of the reason for that, I would say, is because it has been difficult for them to keep players in their, they've had players like Paterka asked to move on, and they have had problems with free agency. I'm hoping for their sake that starts to change with their ability to make the playoffs this year. Buffalo's not the sexiest city in the world. It does have cold winters, and it's got a high tax income tax. So they have some challenges that way. So they have been known to sign players really young, like Matthias Samuelsson, for instance, at 4.2. He's still got 4 more years left. They signed him way early, and that turned out to be a great contract for them. Owen Power as well, a 21-year-old at $8 million. Maybe pushing the envelope a little bit here at that price, but with the cap going up and everything, he is a second pair and that can play right defense. You can look at his underlying analytics, and they don't look spectacular, but for a guy who plays his off defensive position a lot, I think it's not too bad. They have a tendency to do that, and they may do that with Benson here. And I could see them maybe looking at, something like $6 million for 8 years right now, right out of the gate, and that'll probably be a wonderful contract down the road. Problem with that is, as we go through here, Josh Doan, is he on a contract as well? No, they signed him, didn't they? Next year he will be I'm pretty sure they signed him to a long contract during the year. We'll see what as it pops up. How much? Oh yeah, here we are. No, he is an RFA too, so they have to sign him as well. Man, that's 2 contracts. Want to go long on both if they. The more I'm looking at this, the more I'm looking at Alex and wondering if there's anything they can do here as we look at their cap space moving forward. You'll see what I mean. Jason Zucker, Consta Hellenius or Hellenus. I don't know why I say Hellenius like that. Hellenus is, of course, he had a breakout in the playoffs, looked really good. He's under a small contract for a while, and it looks like that kid, I look at his underlying analytics, it looks like that kid's going to be a second-line center for sure, at least, maybe even more. And then we have Jack Quinn. Jason Zucker, he's available. He's got 1 more year at 4.7. He'll be 35 then. That he's fine down there, or he's fine. He can move up and down the lineup and provide you offense. And I know when they signed him, they were really excited that he was willing to take a contract in Buffalo, and he had a lot of great things to say about being a Buffalo Sabre. So you never know. He might even get a little more time depending on how young players move up here. Then you have Jack Quinn, and this is the one player, Jack Quinn, that for me, I think they could look to move on from. He's got a great shot, great offense, but his overall game is not really that great. He's kind of a one-trick pony, and I think that there could be a market for a goal scorer like that out there with some teams that maybe have trouble scoring. Some teams that are looking for young players and want to let them grow, and like say the Vancouver Canucks or something like that. But what the return would be interesting because I don't really see too many holes in this lineup to fill. Um, Greenway, I will be a free agent the year after this year or next year. Uh, Peyton Krebs, he also needs to sign on paper, and I know that Peyton Krebs has been sort of like I call him spiritual reach around. But he popped this year. He really did play better than he's played in his career this year at 25. I don't think it's going to take that much to sign him. Maybe in the 3 million mark, somewhere around there for a couple of years. And he is a player that has been trumpeting Buffalo all through the difficulties that they've had leading up here. He's been like the raw cheerleader guy for Buffalo. So I have a hard time thinking that they're not going to reward him and keep him on. These are kind of players that when an organization is trying to create culture, which when Kekalainen came over Columbus, I think that was his the biggest motivation for bringing him over because Kekalainen being the general manager of the Buffalo Sabres, that was their biggest motivation for bringing him over is he really did change the culture in Columbus, which is a market that's not high on the list of a lot of players to go to. It's not the sexiest city in the world. It's never really had any success. It's, a lot of things can lead people away from wanting to play in Columbus. And before he got there, it was like really not good. They had players leaving all over the place, didn't want to stay there. But he came in, of course, he got Johnny Gaudreau. But he also, from what I even heard from players that said that he helped change the culture a lot there, built a family type atmosphere. It was fun to come to the rink. And these things are really important. And I get the impression that a guy like Peyton Krebs is the kind of guy that does that for you. Bringing in Doan was an excellent way of doing that. Super high character guy. I mean, his father, Shane Doan, was just an absolute gem of a human being, is still a gem of a human being, and was a gem of a teammate. Somebody you could, an organization, you want to hang your hat on and keep for a long time because that is invaluable to bringing people, other free agents in, keeping the players you have to create an environment of positivity and bonding and family type thing. And they're very much like that, the Doans. And defense, of course, I don't see anything much changing here. Darlene, like I said, Samuelson, that contract is beautiful. He had a big boost this year. He had a very good year, average top pair defenseman. He too also, I believe, plays on the offside though, and that's the thing. I don't know. That's a thing I'm a little bit concerned about here. I mean, I saw issues with it playing Montreal with a lot of the players playing on their off defensive sides. Power does as well as he can with it, but I know me personally, I was a right D when I played, and I was a right-handed right D. And if you put me on the other side, man, it was my brain just did it did like it's very difficult. You got to catch pucks off the wall with your body and then bring it up. You got to use your skate a lot or take it on your backhand. I'm very right brain too, so things that happen on the left side, having to think of things from the left side was difficult for me. Owen Power does well with it, but I think he's way better on his own side. And Rasmus Dahlin as well. But he's played both sides. Matthias Samuelsson, I mean, seems to have embraced it really well. So I think that's one that you don't need to worry about. The question I have is between Byram and Power. I wonder if somewhere down the road, um, they start looking at how much they need Power. Not because Power's bad, not because I think he's, I think people are maybe because he was drafted so high, they think they had a superstar there. But I remember in his draft here, scouts were never saying that that's what he was going to be. He was going to be a very, very good defenseman, and it was going to take a while for him to like progress, and he has progressed every single year. He's not very physical for his size, and um, a lot of people are a little disappointed with that. But overall, I mean, at 23 years old, he's doing very well. By the time he hits 27, 28, you could see a big uptick. So we mentioned here, I'm going to look at and just look a little bit at their, Noah Oslin. I didn't mention him. That's a guy who, again, if they can't come to something with Alex Tuck, that's a guy who looks like he's going to be a damn good winger. Damn good winger. Very, like almost trending defensively extremely well and has offensive ability as well. It seems to me that Buffalo started embracing analytics a couple of years ago, and they're drafting that way. He is an LW though, or a center, so that makes it not really a replacement for Tuck. But um, he is a player that can play in the top, will be able to play, I believe, in your top six and not too distant future. Uh, so I'm going to look at, first of all, I'll go in the chat, say hi to everybody that maybe is on here. Oh, nobody's on. Okay. People are on, but nobody said anything. We'll look at their cap projections, and this is where it gets tough, man. They only have 12 million in cap space for 2026-27. And when you look down here, you've got Alex Tuck, who did I said? Peyton Krebs, Zach Benson. Oh, see, I was wrong. I apologize. They have signed Doan. He's already making 7 million. So you got that. See, they signed Doan at 24 years old to 7 million. He's already playing his way out of over that contract. That's a beautiful contract. It's not super long, but over the duration of that contract, it's fine. More than fine. Excuse me. Could be another one coming. And I didn't even mention Yuri Kulich, who had blood clot issues all last year. He was trending to a very offensive center with a great shot. I'm not sure how that's going to be now that he's lost a year of development. I'm not sure. And finding room on the roster with everybody that I just said here is going to be a little bit difficult as well. But you only got 12 million. We won't even get into Alex Tuck yet. You got Zach Benson, and at 21, with their penchant of giving long-term contracts right away, like if you're Buffalo Sabres and you're able to do that here, you can get him in this $7 million range right now for 8. I think you do it. I mean, that'll bring him up till he's 28 years old, by free agent years. He will play, I'm positive, way over that contract as the cap is like going to double over the next 2 years or something like that, and the growth of hockey is evident, or at least they're expecting it to be evident with the cap sizes that we're starting to see here as far as overall cap for each team. And there's talk of Tuck being asking for $10 million a year, saying, "Oh, that's outrageous," but in 3 years, that's going to be like $5 million a year. A $10 million player is going to be like a $5 million player in 3 years. So if you can get him for $7 million, I mean, that's fantastic. Problem is, you only got $5 million, and you've got Alex Tuck to sign. Even if he takes a discount at 9, and you still have Peyton Krebs to sign. Unfortunately, Malenstein you might not be able to get there with him, which is too bad. Super fast fourth liner, really a guy you'd like to have. He wanted to go to Buffalo too. When they signed him to the 1 year, he was very happy about it. And from all I understand is he really would like to stay, but they're fine next year. They got like 44 million if they can find a way to make room for Tuck. But the more I'm looking at it, the more I think he might have to go. They're just not going to have room this year to be able to take him. And I can't really see in the lineup where you're going to shed salary for him besides, like I said, maybe Jack Quinn, but he's only making 3.3. So unless you give even if you give a bridge to Benson at 3.5 for 2 or 3 years, it's still all the money to keep Tuck. And you've got, and you still have Krebs to pay if you want to. So Krebs would fall off, Malenstein would fall off, Kesserling would fall off. I imagine he's going to get a bit of a bump. He shouldn't get too much, but a bit of a bump. You're not going to. Shen and Stanley are on their way out. There's no doubt about that. And then you stick with the goaltending you had this year. And that, I already talked about that in one of the videos I did. I'm wondering how much they want to hang their hat on Luukkonen, and I'm wondering if this is what I'm talking about, what the Sabres are going to do in the offseason. Habs Absolutely Hockey, thanks for asking. So somebody might have to help me out here on how they can make room for Tuck. I'm not able to see it. And the only way I can see them, they give Benson a bridge, they give Krebs the same amount of money, and they go to Tuck and say, look, we want to sign you along. We'll pay you up. But is it possible you could take a 1 year cheap contract this year to stay here? And then next year we have 40 some million coming and we'll sign you along for whatever you're asking right now. That's the only way I see them being able to do it. Short of like going with Lyon and Ellis as their goaltender and trading Luukkonen. And I don't know if that's ideal. I'm having a difficult time figuring out what else they could do. And I think Buffalo in general would really like to sign Tuck for many reasons. He's been there through thick and thin with them ever since he got traded from Vegas. He is from the area, grew up a Sabres fan, really, from what I understand, would if he had his druthers, would like to stay in Buffalo. And they have had a culture in the past or culture problem in the past, being able to attract players to Buffalo because they haven't made the playoffs in a very long time. Now, this year, I think, is going to help that a long way. And they've got a difficult market in general. I will say I've never been to Buffalo, but at least I was really young when I was, and it was a lot different back then. And from people that I know that live in the Buffalo area, the way they say it to me is Buffalo is a place where you got to live here to appreciate it. They said the people are great. There's a lot of hidden gem restaurants and stuff like that you can find. and like a lot of things like that. But overall, it's not the sexiest city in the world. The income taxes are high. It has been known for having a poor room culture, although I think Kekalainen has changed that now. And signing somebody like Tuck, who has been you know, is from the area, uh, as was a Sabres fan for life, all of that, losing him optics wise to the outside looking in can be like, really, now you lost him. Like they were building up some credibility, and losing him kind of could put a damper on that a little bit. But when you look at it, I think it's going to be a straight. Um, when you look at it, oh, I don't. Yeah, when you look at it, I think it's just a straight cap problem. They could easily just say, "We love Alex and we so want him to stay here, but we got to sign our young guys. We got to sign them long." And then when it's all said and done, unless Tuck is willing to take that 1 year and then get a bigger payout next year, which if I'm him, I can totally understand him going, I don't want to take a risk of that. What if I get injured this year? I'm 30 years old now. Then all of a sudden I miss my big payday. So I totally get that. So I first, earlier in the season, just because of the way the optics to the outside and the way that Kekalainen's trying to build a culture of family there and really trying to show people that Buffalo is a place that people want to stay. I thought that they would find a way to sign him, but the more it's gone on and the more I look at who they have to sign, the more I think Tuck is probably on his way. This is Habs Absolutely Hockey. I want to take, I like this comment. Thanks for commenting, by the way, and anybody who's commenting. I could see them stay if Benson takes a bridge or a small discount to keep all the guys together. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt that Benson may take a bridge. But let's see, they have 12 million. He'd have to take like three and a half, something like that. And then Tuck would have to take 9. And then they'd be capped out. So you still got Krebs to sign. So Krebs would fall off, probably. Malenstein falls off. All of those things like that. And the other thing is, I think if they do that, they lose an opportunity to sign Benson to long for a very nice price, probably right around that dome price at $7 million. And $7 million 8 years from now is going to be a pittance to the cap. So yeah, they have an opportunity right now, because if they sign him for the next 3 years or 3.5, at the end of that, I mean, he's going to get paid. So I could see it happening either way. Really going to be, it would really be hard to lose Tuck. I'll take one thing I'll look at here is, why would you take Puck? Like, a lot of people say that, I hear a lot of people on Twitter and people that I respect talk about why would they sign Tuck for a long-term deal? He's not worth blah, blah, blah amount of money. Okay. So let's look at Tuck. Alex Tuck plays first line minutes, plays, I mean, on the Buffalo Sabres, 81% competition rating. That's right here. The competition rating means how he's deployed by the coach. And at 81% on the Buffalo Sabres, because they roll 4 lines quite a bit, they really try to have all their players play against top lines somewhat to take it off of to take the to make it easier for their top players to not have to kill themselves in the regular season. And it's just the way he plays, to keep your to also be able to keep the pace up to play that man-on-man D system that they play. That's the reason why Brindamore does it in Carolina as well. It's a very physically demanding system, and it kind of demands you to play at a high pace through the whole game as much as possible. So 81% competition rating is very high in a man-on-man system like that. Look at this, great finisher. Does play the PK, isn't the greatest at it, but he's a great even strength defense guy. Very good even strength defense guy against the competition that he goes up in. And he's a great play driver. He's 30 years old. If they can get him for 9 for 6 or something like that, I mean, and you can take Benson, I can totally understand them doing that. If you can get Benson at the 3 years at 3.5 or something like that AV, and they get Tuck to stay as well, I totally get it. I understand the reasoning for it, but anybody who says he's not worth that right now, $9 million 3 years from now is going to be nothing. Like nothing for this type of player, I should say. Like the cap going up is a thing. It's a real thing as far as the value of contracts. People are hearing players getting 10, 12, 13 million and like, oh, that's too much. That's too much. Sorry, man. Percentage of cap is what is more important than what the actual number is. They'll bring up players that are making that now and saying he's not good as them. And I go, we signed that 3 years ago. And, it's totally different in the cap situation. Tuck is a great player. And I think he's still going to be very great for the next 5 years. And I don't take any stock into his not getting points in his last series. When I watched Tuck in that series, I think he just snake bit mostly. It's just the way it was. I played back a game or two and just watched Tuck. He was the same old Tuck to me. Just for some reason, he wasn't able to pot him. He just wasn't in on plays. He was still shutting down top players really well. He was still playing a great game. And the thing about Alex Tuck is he's a veteran player that's played this system for a while, right from the get-go. And he can still, like, if they get new players in, he's a leader. He's a great attitude. He's got a great personality. If they find a way to keep him, I get it. If they decide to go with signing Benson long, I get that too. Yeah. Cap is definitely going to be going up. I believe he's worth that too. So I believe both. I can see reasoning for both without blaming Buffalo for either. So I don't really know which one it's going to be. I do think another thing you could do. See, when I came on here, I didn't plan all this stuff out because I love it when people come on here and they bring comments and it gets my mind working even more. Another thing that they could do is I personally think Quinn is not really necessary on this team if they're going to keep Tuck from now on. So I could see them moving on from Quinn and getting a draft pick, or not that they really need draft picks, but it never hurts to keep stockpiling. It never hurts. And they could use it to add a player down, if they have injuries or anything like that, or if they want to add at the deadline. Why do I say that? And remember, I'm never shitting on players when I say stuff like this. These are the best players in the world. There is no bad player in the NHL. It's only compared to other NHL players. Every single player in the show is elite. Every single one of them. So if I'm saying stuff, please don't ever think that they're a bad player as a hockey player. No, definitely not. Um, they're elite. But as far as NHL is concerned, like this is Jack Quinn. Um, Here's the thing about Jack Quinn that I think 3 years ago he had very good defensive numbers, but his competition rating was really low. Like he was playing against like 14, 15%. He was playing against lower lines. Since he's moved up in his competition rating to 50%, and in Buffalo, that's not terrible. Like they roll their lines. He has really dropped off, but has picked it up as far as play driving is concerned. I still think there's more to Jack Quinn. I think he's going to be a better player at 26, 27, and he's really worked on his game, and he's got a beautiful shot. Like um, offensively in the offensive zone, the guy's got moves. He can make plays. He can drive offense well, but you got Ostlund coming in, Helenus coming in. If you can trade him at 3.4 somewhere for a first for first or something like that, I think you do it, especially if you can sign Tuck, and you can sign Tuck out of the deal. You would be able to sign Tuck out of the deal if you traded a guy like Quinn. And I think there's definitely a market for Jack Quinn out there. I mentioned Vancouver as a possibility, like a rebuilding team like that. Unfortunately for him, it would really be sad for him because he's played all the way through here with the tough times. It would kind of suck if he had to go to Vancouver and probably be in a rebuild for another 5 years. But not just him. I think there's a lot of teams. At 3.4, I wouldn't recommend this if I'm the Edmonton Oilers, but I could see the Edmonton Oilers picking up the phone, you know, to play him up in the top six. I could see, go down the list here. I'll go down the list here. Some teams that would be probably interested in Jack Quinn. Let me switch this back to. Oh, real primer. What did you say here, bud? Let me bring it up. Sabres will be getting a high value starting goaltender this offseason. And I didn't even talk about that. If they decide to go that direction, and I talked about this in a previous video I did, and I can't remember what it was because it wasn't about the Buffalo Sabres. It was that they may go this direction. If they really have kind of weighed the Luukkonen thing and said, you know what, he may not be the guy, I could see, and I know what I was talking about. I could honestly see a Hellebuyck. I could see a Hellebuyck. They have a relationship with Winnipeg. Hellebuyck has been dissatisfied with Winnipeg. Not dissatisfied. Hellebuyck, after the season ended, apparently went and just freaking threw shit around in the management table. And when he came out, he talked to the media and said, I'm alliterating, not quoting, but he said something to the effect of, I love this city. I've always loved this city. And I believe him because he took long contracts with them and all of that. But he said, it appears that people don't see it the way I do here. In other words, they have a tough time drawing players to Winnipeg, and they do. And I think it's kind of worn on them a little bit. And if they go through this offseason and continue to have their problems with that, this is going to be a big season for Hellebuyck. I don't think he's going to be happy with just low names here. They got to bring in some very significant players to be able to play in the top six and show him that they are able to right now. Otherwise, I could very well see him going, it's time. I can't do it anymore. It's time for me to move on. No, I agree. Like real deal here. Here. Quinn, yes, I don't doubt that the best is yet to come for Quinn. I'm just saying that if you look back at what I was talking about with Tuck and why a lot of the reasons why they would relish the idea of getting a Tuck, um, that Quinn could be a player that people do see that, and he will. The best is still yet to come for Quinn, and they could get a really good return for a player. They have Osland coming up, who looks like he's going to be a beast. Helenus looks like he's going to be a beast. You know, they got guys coming up. I mean, that would just increase his value for people to look at it from that perspective. So that's assuming they decide to stay with Tuck. If they don't, then I imagine Quinn stays. And then what you just said here is, coming off the Achilles and all of that, and him having sniper abilities and all that kind of stuff like that. You know, his game depends on getting to spots. He's got to get to spots, but he also has still got to fill out his total game. For me personally, even if he does pot him more, I need to see more all around player from him before I want to sign him up to a long. And like I said, I'm on the fence about Tuck. I mean, I know Kekalainen it has done a lot of work to change the culture there in Buffalo, and of course they have had success right now. But I don't think Buffalo is ever going to be the city that is high on that is not on no trade list to a significant amount. You know, they might get it so they're only in the seventh or eighth percentile. Like there's lists that come out that are anonymous of teams that are high on the no trade lists of players, and Buffalo's really high. I could see them getting down to 8 or 9, something like that. And if they do, they'll have more people to be able to do that. But optics wise, a guy like Tuck who wants to be in Buffalo, who is from Buffalo, he also brings a culture of I want to be here, which I think Kekalainen is really wanting to sell in Buffalo. It's tough to let him go. Um, and I think if that is a great value to Kekalainen and they can get Tuck to come down to about 9 or so, Quinn could be a casualty based on what they have to replace him. Not because I think he's a terrible player, but I think out of the other options that you want to move, you're not moving a Benson, you're not moving a Doan. You also got Kulik there. You could package a bunch of players, and who knows? Or a good goalie. Like he could be part of that Winnipeg deal that I'm talking about for Hellebuck. If Hellebuck does, say something like that, they've already had players from Winnipeg go there. Uh, Not saying that Hellebuck would waive to go to Buffalo. I don't know. I have no idea. But at the very least, they put them in a position where it looks like they're rolling. It looks like they are moving forward. It looks like they got a good, young, solid team. They made the playoffs, almost made it past the second round against a strong Montreal team. There's a lot to sell there. Uh, there's a lot to sell there. I mentioned in the video I did that Gustafson was a goaltender that possibly could be looked at. That's going to take a center though, and because if they're trading Gustafson, they want a center. And I mentioned Hellenis as a guy. Um, yeah, I know that St. Louis for Thomas, they balked at trading Norris. Now, I don't think it was a Norris for Thomas straight up that they balked at. I think all the other pieces they were asking for and Norris was too much for them, probably. And again, Norris is one of those players that I don't think he had to go to Buffalo. I think he had to okay the deal. I'm pretty sure he had a no trade clause, and he chose Buffalo. And it's kind of tough. And he worked really well on that line with Benson and Doan. Like he was exceptional on that line. I don't know if you really want to ever break that up. I also don't want to get rid of Helenius because Helenius is looking like a friggin' beast. But you're going to have to give somebody up to get Hellebuyck. And I think Hellebuyck would probably give them a couple teams to choose from if he wanted to leave right away. And him and his agent would work together to try to make sure that the team he's going to isn't crushing themselves for a cup right now, because he'll be looking for a cup right now. He's not looking down the road here. Hellebuyck's looking to contend right now. Imagine a Hellebuyck in Buffalo. You have Luukkonen, trade Luukkonen, Helenius, or if you can get away with Oslin, if they really believe in him as a center too. Luukkonen, Oslin, they've got their firsts coming up here. They could trade a first. They have some good prospects coming up in a prospect. Maybe. And then, of course, you also are going to lose Tuck in that deal because once you get him, hey, Hellebuyck's making $8 million a year. So Helenius should be a no trade. I agree. I would have a very difficult time putting him in a deal. I agree. But if you're getting a Hellebuyck, it depends on what you want to do. How much are you looking for the future? How much are you looking for the now? You get Hellebuyck in that team, you're going to be a playoff team. You're probably next year going to be top of that division. You know, how much are you looking at all sides here? Maybe in Winnipeg, they don't have that kind of leverage. You know, maybe they don't. It's hard to say. Depends on where Hellebuyck is willing to go. How many teams out there are going to be able to afford an $8 million? I think, let me see. How much is he making? How much is Hellebuyck making? Pretty sure it's 8. And I mean, I don't even know if this is going to happen, of course. Winnipeg could pull some shit out of their hat and make this team look really good. I know the team has basically said we want nothing, is going to have to kick and scream to get out of there. And I think the team is taking this position mostly to make him kick and scream to go out of there. So if it absolutely comes down to it and he just makes their life hell, like they're going to make his life hell and say, look, we're only considering this if you give us like 5 to 7 teams to choose from and we can get a return that's satisfactory. It's the only way we're going to do it. 8.5 for 4 more years. $8.5 for 4 more years. So Gustafsson, I was just going to say I said Gustafsson was a possibility. Whoops, hide. But he just had hip surgery, and I don't know what that hip problem is. That when I hear goalie and hip surgery, I just like, oh no. Oh no. I think Gustafsson really all that much better though? I mean, he's had some great playoffs. Is he that much of an upgrade? Let's face it, Luukkonen had somebody like to take back in the playoffs. He wasn't elite, that's for sure. If you switched goaltenders, put Luukkonen in Montreal and Dobish in Buffalo wins that series without a problem. So if you put a Hellebuyck in there, but remember, if you get Hellebuyck, you're also losing Tuck. It's the trade, and it's like you're trading Oslin, maybe that Mertka kid, a first round draft pick. Maybe a little bit plus, and it's like you're trading Tuck. Oh yeah, and a UPL, which isn't. I count that as not a loss because you got to trade a goaltender, so that's not that big of a deal. But you're also, it's like trading Tuck in that deal as well. You're also not getting Tuck back because you're going to be capped out. To tell you the honest truth, you're going to have to now do a bridge with Benson or trade Quinn. Quinn could be part of the deal, I suppose, or trade Quinn to get Benson signed. You got Krebs to sign. So having an elite goaltender like that at $8 million, look at all the names that are starting to fall off here. This is getting to be a pretty asset-rich trade. I don't care about the 0 points. And I watched it back, the games that Tuck played. I didn't really see Tuck playing bad. It's just one of those things sometimes where it's just not going your way. He had lots of shots. He got lots of quality plays, stuff like that. I mean, you can put that much stock in a guy who's had playoff success in Vegas. He did everything he did and fought through that organization through the lean times, never complained, because he had one series where the points didn't show up on the board. I mean, have fun with that. I don't pay attention to that shit. I don't think he played bad. How did he play bad? I didn't see it. And whatever little bit he might have, I mean, I don't know what he might have been. He'll never say it. He's that type of character. Well, he'll never say what he was playing through. And I know everybody's fighting injuries, but how big of an injury was he playing through? Did he have a severely sprained ankle? Did he have whatever? He's not a guy that's ever going to use excuses. I'll just put it this way. If it was me, if I'm a general manager out there and I'm looking to add a player this year and he's willing to come for $10 million a year, I'm not even thinking twice about it. Not even thinking twice. If he's willing to sign for 6 years or something like that at $10 million, Washington will be lining up for that. Although they're looking more for an LW. I think he can play LW, but he looks better on the right. There will be lots of teams that'll have no problems giving that guy. It won't even blink an eye about the fact that he didn't have a point in the second round. Won't even blink an eye. No, no problems. 3-zone defensive wingers like him that can pot 33 goals are rare in this league. Rare. This again, I know. Like, if anybody watches this video, they're going to think I'm fucking crazy. But I'm taking Nylander. I'm taking Tuck over Nylander at what he's getting paid. I can't stand floaters on my team. Can't stand them. I'll take his attitude, his way of playing. He's physical. He's a great 3-zone player. At $10 million a year, give me Tuck. I'll take him over Nylander all day long. Seattle, I could see Seattle. Yeah. I don't think that would be the best spot for him to land for him, but I could definitely see it happening. I guess the game is about to start here, so I'm going to turn on. Who else would be on there? I could see the Islanders doing something like that. I mean, I wouldn't go there if I was him for the Islanders. Imagine him going back to Vegas. They don't have the cap room. But I think Washington would be the biggest suitor for him. Pittsburgh might consider him, but I mean, they probably shouldn't. Ottawa would probably consider him, although they're looking more for a defenseman than that. But uh, depending on what Nashville wants to do, I could see that. Which direction they want to go. Like, I don't think LA would have the cap space. I know Edmonton would be all over it for sure. Edmonton will. I mean, they don't care about tomorrow. It's how do they get the cap space? I don't know how they would do that. They would have to, rumors about Nurse being retained. Detroit would probably be in there like a dirty shirt. Dallas, if they can't sign, I think you sign Robertson for 12 before you sign Tuck for 10, for sure. Columbus Blue Jackets would be in there. Calgary wouldn't because they're rebuilding. I wouldn't doubt Buffalo. Boston would be in there, although I don't think that's a wise decision for them, but I wouldn't doubt that they would be in there. I think Anaheim would be in there. He would have no shortage of teams that were willing to pay up that kind of money if they had the cap space. No shortage. So it might call it an overpayment, but 3 years from now, 4 years from now, with the cap the way it's going to go up, that $10 million contract is a $5 million player now. That $10 million contract 3 years from now is a $5 million player now. You can't tell me you think Tuck is a $5 million player. He's not. And by the time he's 33, I don't think he's going to be that dropping down that much in ability. That's the other thing I suppose you got to look at. Tuck has played hard minutes in his career. So if you think that he's going to start wearing down physically in the next 3-4 years, maybe you're right. Maybe you don't want to do that. But any team that's looking to win now is not going to care about that. It's not going to care about that. I know the 10 sounds like it pops at you going, 10? Holy jeez. And you look at some of the players making 10 right now and you're going, he's not that, but it's not how you can look at it in the cap world. Like you're signing a player that you got, it's more like cap percentage than anything. And your future cap and stuff like that. I mean, Montreal, honestly. You tell me Montreal couldn't use a freaking Tuck up there on that top right? Holy shit, dude. Tuck would be great for them. It just came to me right now. Tuck, Caulfield, and Suzuki. And then, I think next year Demidov will be on that top line. Let's get this, like, no doubt about it. You put him on the second. I mean, that would be freaking unbelievable for them to get a guy like that. So, and they're ready to, they're already heading towards possible cup right now if they win this round. And I can get into that, and I want to get into it before the game starts because I want to watch the game. Okay. Yesterday with Carolina, I fucked up, and I'll never do this again. Because if on a big long layoff like that, if Carolina can't do it, nobody can do it. And another thing is they're a very systematic team. I thought that they played that system so long that it would work out for them, but obviously their legs couldn't get going. And as soon as that system, if Carolina doesn't have their legs, that system falls apart. And you saw it yesterday. It fell apart. They didn't have their legs. Miller was making that one play that he did on the second goal. I don't know what the fuck. That was, what are you going over to get? Your defense partner already had the guy, and he moves over for no reason whatsoever. Just leaves the whole center position out. I'm pretty sure Brindamore just threw that game in the garbage and said they didn't even practice today. I think what they did today was they went deeper into video and reminding them and everything. That was more to do with anything there. then, and I think you're going to see a way better game from Carolina in the next round. I'm not taking anything away from Montreal. One thing that I saw there that was, like I said, St. Louis is a fucking genius. What he's doing is he's stretching out the ice against them. He is telling his players to trust their skill. There's not too many coaches out there that are going to say, except unless you've got a guy like Hughes who just can freaking knock a ladybug off of a wire with this shot from freaking 200 feet. Guy's insane. Usually they don't say, hey, go in behind the defense, and not only go in behind the defense and shoot from, because what Carolina does is, if you're like a team like Dallas or Cassidy's system with Vegas where you do these short passes, they're fucking on you like stink on shit. So he's like, don't let them do that. Let the puck do the work. Catch him on the half walls. And the other thing what he's doing, as soon as they get the puck on the stick, they're going across the ice to the other side, where a guy is sitting there waiting, making all the forwards that are trying to box them on this side exposed, and you've only got the defenseman and you move on. Great. Freaking awesome. I said I wanted to see what St. Louis was going to do with this system, and that's what he's doing. And that takes some serious skill and confidence to do that. So I imagine Carolina is going to be like, look, we got to pick these cross passes off. You got to play a little higher here. And as far as the stretch passes are concerned, that's going to be interesting to see what he does with that. Because they don't like to play a 1-3-1. I've never seen them play a 1-3-1. I've never seen them play a clogged and neutral zone system where their legs aren't moving like a 1-3-1. So it'll be interesting if he actually goes to that. But the main thing is their timing was way off as far as that system is concerned. They were too late getting to the man in the neutral zone, in the offensive zone, everything. And with Montreal's skill, if that's happening, they're going to kill you, and they did. All right, the game is on now. Catch you next time. I hope you enjoyed the Buffalo series stuff, that are Buffalo, what they're going to do next. And thanks for your comments. Actually, that was freaking awesome. You guys are amazing. I love the way you guys think the game, and I love the fact that there's people that love the game as much as I do and come on here and shoot this shit with me. Catch you next time. I'll catch you at 10:30 Eastern, where I'll be on by myself, I believe. Maybe Dre, where we're going to go over the games for tomorrow, and we'll be on again at 10:30 in the morning, where we'll do our final picks. I may just do something like this tonight at 10:30. Just get on and shoot the shit. That's probably what I'll do. So if you want to shoot the shit later, let me know. Comment in the comment section, Twitter me, all of those things like that. That's my full 42 boys and girls. Oh, by the way, Swag has 3 more picks. He's 18-3-1 on ball. We had a couple subscribers today. Thank you very much. It's only $25 for his monthly. He is an unbelievable capper. On my winnables, just go to Prillo's NHL POW right here. Go to the top of my profile. You'll see my winnable there. And you can get a full calendar year picks for $150 there for the NHL, for all the rest of the playoffs and all the ball picks and all my next year's NHL picks up until this date, when whatever. So it's only like $10 a month. Or you can get a monthly package or a weekly package or whatever you want to do. Give to the Chafety Fund, boys and girls. Jaime's Body Lube. It's the best. There, I said it. Changing the world daily. Keeping people unchafed, my friends. Take care. Thank you very much. Okay.